In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to draw a square with your protractor. Mine is going to be 2 inches long. That gives me just enough room to have all of my lines in, but not enough that I'm taking up a giant part of my whole paper. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my protractor and I'm going to mark my baseline dot. So I've got my dot right there. Remember that this dot is kind of the one that everything is going to attach to, and this is also going to be the one that we go to as our starting point and ending point. Now, if you think about a square or a rectangle, those all have 90-degree angles. So I've got my base point, then I'm going to mark at my 90-degree mark. From this point, I'm going to use my protractor. If that confuses you, feel free to use a ruler. Either one works. I'm basically just using my flat edge so that I can connect these two dots together. Now that I have my line, this is where I need to start measuring. Your protractor has a ruler on it. For the sake of this video, I'm going to actually use my ruler because I think it's a little bit easier to understand. So I'm going to line up my first dot with this very first line. Again, remember, we do not want it to be the line that lines up with the edge. We want it to be the first line, our 0 line. Then I'm going to make a mark at my 2-inch point. Notice how I made this mark on my line. I did not make it somewhere else. I made it on my line. Now that I have my 2 inches, this is side 1 of my square. Now you are going to pick a direction to go. I am going to choose to go this way. And you're going to line this dot up with your 2-inch point. There is also a line here in the middle that will help you make that even and make your line straight. Make sure that you're using it, because if you just line it up any which way, that's not going to make a good angle. You want to make sure that you line that up. And from this very first point on my square, so I've got my first point and then I've got my second point. Those are going to be my 2 corners. My first line, now I'm drawing my second line. I'm going to do that by marking my 90-degree angle, connecting those 2 lines together so that I know for sure that my angle is correct. That's what I'm doing right here, is making sure I have a 90-degree angle. But I'm doing a square, not a rectangle. So I'm going to measure 2 inches on my second line. Starting at the point where the 2 lines connect, I'm going to draw just right here on my line, 2-inch mark. Again, notice how my line extends past that mark, and that is okay. You just want to make sure that your second side hits at your 2 inches. Back to the protractor. This is where things get a little bit confusing, because if I were to put my protractor on here, just like I have been doing, and then I put a line down here, and then I connect those, that's making the line go in the wrong direction, which is going to get really confusing. Also, if I were to line it up right here and draw my line, that still is the wrong direction, because that's just going to extend the line that already exists. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention and figure out which direction your protractor needs to face. Then you're going to line up that dot again, mark at your 90 degrees. You're going to connect those 2 dots. And then again, you're going to measure your 2-inch point. There's my 2 inches. And because we are doing a square, I can go ahead now and just connect my first dot and my fourth dot, first dot and fourth dot, because that will be my remaining side. If you want to, you can also go in and connect in here, draw your 90 degrees, connect in there, and that will give you a really clear square. From here, this is why it's really important you're using a pencil. You can erase the extra lines. In theory, you could go through and measure everything exactly and not have to erase it all. I think that that takes up too much time and is a little bit too complicated. So I just go ahead and erase and call it good. Now you have your square. 1, 2, 3, 4 walls, and all of your angles are even 90-degree angles.